RBN-ASMR library. How are we doing today? Good. Here to get some quality sleep, I see. Yes, it is the bright and early hours of 3 a.m. And if you're awake right now like I am, I know you gotta go to bed. I know you probably got work tomorrow. But here at the ASMR library, we're gonna get you to bed. How are we gonna do that today? By, as per request, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 movies of all time. And you can listen to me out for about 20 minutes until you doze off. I would highly recommend having some headphones, sit back and relax as I yap. That is the goal here at the ASMR library, to get you to bed and to have you have some nice, pleasurable tingles. With that being said, let's let the yaps begin. Alrighty, so we're gonna go from 5 to 1. I wanted to go from 1 to 5 originally, but I realized that's here nor there. Let's get started. So, I do have the Blu-rays of all these movies. So, right now, number 5 is Your Name. Your Name. Where do I begin? Honestly, I think it's the prettiest film I've ever seen. I think point blank period. I don't think there's a movie that can live up to Your Name for me. There's some contenders, but in terms of bringing the modern era, if you will, I think not a lot of things come close to it. Of course, there's shonen like JJK. I almost said Shibuya. Like Jujutsu Kaisen, and there's some new animes that are coming out by Cloverworks, but I think Your Name is just beautiful. I'm gonna try to open it, and so it's not too loud. We can take a look here at the inside art and the Blu-ray. Personally, I think I'm gonna get you a little bit longer. I think that the plot is simple but complex enough and deeply rooted in Japanese history enough to not be. It's cheesy in a good way. This is almost like the Japanese Titanic. Everybody's seen it. Everybody wants to be it. And what I mean by it, I mean in a aspiring relationship in that manner, going to a new place and finding love. Now, of course, that's not exactly the plot. The plot, if you don't know, is so Mitsuha and Taki. As you can see, Taki's a city boy and she's a country bumpkin. And in their dreams or in their sleep, they swap bodies. You might have seen a couple clips in, maybe some other ASMR videos or in some other aesthetic videos. Every frame of this movie is an hour lo-fi video somewhere. I kid you not. The B-roll, if you will, in this film is phenomenal. The compositing, the shots, it's gorgeous. The plot is impactful, inspiring. I think now the reason why I kind of describe this film a little bit vaguely is because it is a vague film. That's why it's number 5. It's pretty foremost, it's pretty, right? But besides that, I think the plot, it could use a little more depth in some places. Mainly in the middle when Taki's friends help him out go find Mitsuha. But that's, like I said, that's here nor there. It's still a perfect, for lack of a better word, a perfect film for the most part. Now, of course, no film is perfect, but I do think that it's a good hope core. It's good hope core, especially as Mitsuha ironically dies halfway through the film. Taki essentially brings her back to save her. He watches her entire life this rewatch, I've been on a binge recently rewatching this film as I finally been using these steel books. Let me get some of that ASMR. RBN. This film, if you haven't seen it already, which we all have, it's cinema. It continues to be cinema almost 10 years later, which kind of hurts to say. But it continues to be cinema. The animation, Shintani style is still the best Dragon Ball style, bar none, second to Toriyama himself. I think as a plot, it's a pretty seamless plot. I love how there's parallels between Bulma and almost like Beerus, Bulma and Frieza with their wish. The whole subplot with Chilai and what's his name? Not Olmo. It's slipping my mind. You know the old guy, the other alien guy. Broly's dad, Paragus. I love the first 20 minutes of the film being Bardock's backstory. What is there that hasn't been said already about Dragon Ball Super Broly? That's why we had to get the Steelbook. It's top 5 ever, if we're being honest. Like, I don't even have to go into depth about much, because like I said, what hasn't been said. I think, one thing I do want to comment on, the original voice actor for Broly, Vic, I can't pronounce his last name, Vic Mamanga. I didn't realize the extent of the allegations when this movie came out. I was younger, and I remember hearing about it, but I was too young to understand. In hindsight, they actually removed any traces of him from this release, the Crunchyroll release, not the Funimation. They removed an interview, I believe, and his name is nowhere to be found in the credits, which is kind of insane, but at the same time, not fucking really. I can't believe it. But, like I said, I didn't get to see this movie in theaters. I mark my words, I will see this movie in IMAX one day. I will make it happen. Next up, we have a big one. Number 3, My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising. Now, this film is mid. Okay, let's get that out of the way. No, it's cinema, but it's mid, okay? Get a little closer look. I actually have a Heroes Rising poster, over there. We can, should we go? No, we won't. I was gonna go get it and show you, but it might be a little bit too much effort, if you will. I have to disassemble the entire setup for that. But Heroes Rising, as a film, it's pretty standard in anime. Popular anime characters A, B, and C go to disposable place A, B, and C, fight disposable super strong guy A, B, and C that we've never heard of, who's super OP and has a broken power. That is the plot, but just a little more in depth to it. So let me yap about this film. If you aren't aware, Heroes Rising was supposed to be the original ending of My Hero, which in hindsight, now that the film or that the show's over, I wonder how. I don't know if I would have hated this. Bakugo getting all for one. I don't think I would have hated that. I would have hated the idea, but I think it would have been hype in and of itself, as it was. Seeing 2 100% full cowlings to this day. Oh my god. For me, the reason why it's top 3 is the experience. It's not really about the movie itself. Fun fact, this was the first Blu-ray I ever acquired. I think it was like $43 back then when it first dropped. Way overpriced. For a digital code, that doesn't work anymore because Funimation shut down the... We don't gotta get into that. But seeing this in theaters ultimately sparked who I am as a person, if I'm being honest with you. Because man sounds there as I yap. But yes, I think as a person, seeing Heroes Rising in theaters is my defining character moment, my canon event. I want to say opening seen the Japanese leaks, as there was some time. It was in Japan. It came out in December, came out in February, so it's about 2.5 months of leaks. And so I was able to piece together the movie, but not enough to the point where I knew what was going on. So seeing those scenes fully completed, I was like, so that's what's the context. It was nice. Not to mention the crowd. It was my first time ever having a crowd reaction. If you don't know, I guess it's self-explanatory. It's when the crowd reacts in the theater. It doesn't happen often, and a lot of people find it irritating, but as a upcoming film director, it's those moments that make me love going to the theater the most. As, you just don't forget stuff like that, like when Endgame came out, people who saw Endgame in theaters and their crowd went crazy for the snap. You don't forget that. Whenever you rewatch the film, you remember the crowd. At least I do. And you don't forget stuff like that. I remember when the moments finally happened, Double Detroit Smash, crowd, it was my first time experiencing all of that, and hearing Mike Plus You in the theaters after hearing it in the headphones after so long was just an experience. Also, I'm like looking, whatever's going on, it's Body of the Rock. She's probably having a spasm. Fun fact, actually, we're gonna get to that. But back on Heroes Rising, after that experience, actually, another fun fact I was gonna bring up, the guy behind me was coughing, and in hindsight, that guy probably had COVID. That guy probably had COVID before he was, we hit the lockdowns. But that whole experience was surreal. I saw it in dub, which is extra crazy. From my experience over the last couple of years, most people don't see anime movies in dub, or at least the people who really care. Like, the people who are going to have a crowd reaction usually are going to sub, because they have sub first. The sub show times are usually get priority over the dub, but that's the sub or dub argument. We can actually talk about it real quick. My opinion, My Hero's dub is too iconic. Justin Briner. Kachan. What are you doing, nerd? Come on, man. It's too iconic. But when it comes to fighting, I think sub has it. Deku's Japanese voice actor, Denki, I forgot what Bakugo's voice actor's name is, but phenomenal. When it comes to fighting, they can just yell, man. So in my opinion, dub is more iconic and better, but for the fights, it's sub. Perfect. But I can talk about Heroes Rising for a while. It means a lot to me. But as a film, it's pretty mid. It's a pretty or I shouldn't say mid, it's generic. I think 9 is cool in hindsight, because it's future Shigaraki, if you will. But not really, because it was a concept. I think You're Next. I think as a My Hero film, it's the best, but that's steep competition with You're Next and the first one. The third one, I think, is the worst one. But that's only because there's a good 20-minute section in the third film that's just really boring. But that's here nor there. Second, top 2. Oh yeah, it's time. Evangelion 2.2. 2.22. Where do I begin? The original dub, the Funimation dub, so good. It's so fucking good. I had to get this Blu-ray for the Funimation dub. Amazing. Would recommend it. Don't watch the Prime dub. It's not their fault. It's bad. They had to rush. It's not their fault. But still, this is superior. As a film, I think it's the only film in the rebuild that's actually worth watching, if you will, because I think here's my opinion. The first one is fine. It's just a retelling of the first couple of episodes, reordered with the Rimmel fight. I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just exists, right? It scared me the first time I saw it. It left an impact on me. I remember being scared that night of Lilith, giant Ray Lilith. I remember thinking about it. It just scared the hell out of me. And it's just don't forget shit like that. And then, eventually I rewatched it over and over again, and it's just fantastic. There's so many layers to that film. It's very ambiguous. I don't think we ever got a anime film that taps into real life the way they did. A lot of weird things. I think it's one of the only films to have credits in the middle of the movie. Not to mention, it existing as a whole is a interesting thing because it was a production disaster. It's what episode 25 was originally supposed to be, but they didn't have time. The soundtrack, phenomenal. It's 3 a.m., forgive me. Phenomenal. Thank you. Bear with me. It's such an emotional, mental trip. It asks the questions, do you deserve to be alive? For a movie to ask that question, an anime to ask that question, shit is deep. I'm also trying to avoid the light in my eye. That's why I'm coming all the way over here to your right. I believe where you're left. I don't know if this gets inverted when I uploaded it. But End of Evangelion, there's so much to be said. Like I said in the last video, seeing it in theaters, surreal experience. When the lights turned on, we were just left in pure awe and shock at a movie we've seen for the 45th time. And it hits every single time. The sound direction, the cuts, the first half, the episode 25 half being brutal and violent. The finale with the beach, it's the silence, the waves crashing. Everything about it is eerie. One thing I'd love to discuss in another video is my theories on Evangelion. People don't talk about it online anymore because, the rebuilds kind of answered those questions, but at the end of Evangelion, or end of Eva, when Shinji and Asuka are on the beach, there's a lot of discussion on what's happening there, because as we see, it's just Asuka and Shinji, and obviously everyone just died in the impact. My personal headcanon is that they're the first to come back. Everybody chooses to come back at their own time, but that process isn't instant. There's still a little in-between time between the third impact itself and everybody coming back. There's still a little bit of time. Because you see Masato's pendant nailed into the wall, which means Shinji had to wander around and put that up at some point, and Asuka's still on the floor, so she clearly isn't awake yet, or at least not for long. And I think the thought of Shinji walking around that desolate land with Ray's body just in the background, indefinitely, body parts strung around, it's scary to think about for me. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I love shit that scares me. I don't know if it's the scientist in me. You can beat the goat. But I love shit that scares me. It activates a different part of my brain, and I just want to find out more. I don't know why I'm like that. But with that being said, top 5 as of right now: Your Name, beautiful movie. Broly, not much more needs to be said. Heroes Rising, it's my canon event for me. Evangelion 2.2 is my favorite film to rewatch, and End of Eva, it traumatized me in a way that every Evangelion fan knows and understands. And it's funny showing people End of Eva out of context. They look at me like I'm insane, because it is insane, and we are insane. But thank you for listening to me yap for over 24 minutes. This is technically my longest video I've ever made. We are making improvements, people. I'm constantly finding ways to improve my content. If you go back a year ago, the camera angle, the way I'm being comfortable with the mic, being comfortable on camera, we are constantly improving. One thing I wouldn't put my room in this manner if I wasn't thinking about YouTube. You know, the way I have this wall set up, it's for YouTube. The way I have this desk set up, it's for YouTube. I am